Welcome to Empowered by AI, the podcast for women entrepreneurs ready to harness AI to take their businesses to the next level. I'm your host, Michelle Muncy-Silva, founder of Innovative AI Studios. You may have left corporate life to start this entrepreneurial journey, but you don't have to go it alone. Here, you'll find a supportive community of like-minded women and an invaluable thought partner each week, as my guests and I share actionable insights you can use right away. So let's dive in together. We are. All right. Pallavi, I would love to have you introduce yourself to everyone, and then we're going to dive right in. Are you ready to share?
Amazing. And thank you so much for having me on. And so thrilled. Yeah, so my name is Pallavi Sharma, and I launched with Omni AI marketing about a year ago. And really, my goal with this is to show how you can basically collapse the marketing department. I find AI, especially generative AI, to be so powerful that I did a test with it. My background is as a marketing executive at companies small, medium, large. I used to manage the GE brand globally when it was the largest brand at one point. And more recently, I was SVP Global Marketing at a corporate company, a global company. And when Gen AI came around, my mind was just blown. And I left and I did a test where I said, can I create a company using AI? And I built my brand with AI in a matter of weeks. I was stunned because as a marketing exec, I had done it for many years the old way with large teams and budgets and agencies. And now I just had custom GPTs doing every single thing. And so my feeling was if I could do this and sign clients within a couple of weeks, I could help other people, especially women and people of color who don't get as much funding, scale their businesses. And so that's where I'm at. I'm launching my own podcast called Your AI CMO. So I look forward to having you as a guest on that. And that's where we're going to really explore how AI is really collapsing these departments and functions. And then there's the dark side. What are the humans going to do about this? So that's not lost upon me. That issue. So that's where I've been working on.
Yeah, it's a sticky situation, right? It's that great democratizer where, as you pointed out, people that normally were left out of certain experiences because of funding or lack of funding are now at the table. But there are a lot of people who were doing that work that are concerned. So I understand it's a really complicated situation. But in one of your recent posts, you wrote that you don't feel that using AI is the same as being AI ready. So I'm curious, what does that AI ready term actually mean to you? And how can business owners that are maybe these solopreneurs that are starting out, how can they start closing that gap?
The difficult challenge with AI adoption is that obviously anybody that's exposed and willing can go onto these LLMs and be blown away because you type something in, you get an amazing response. That's all great. But what we really need to do is have a mind shift and question everything we're doing and see if there is a way to use AI or automation to do those things. Because one of the things that I feel that we're not realizing is that whole story about the frog in boiling water. If you put a frog in cold water, turn up the heat, it boils, the dad doesn't realize what happened. I feel like humans have been going through the same thing. I don't know about you, but I found myself doing a lot of mundane tactical work, no matter what level in the organization I'm at. And it's almost become something that we become used to. We become used to doing menial types of activities, even if they're digital. And that's where AI and automations can really free us up so we can be freed up for thinking and strategizing and connecting with other humans, meeting face to face, all of those things that have been shrunk, in my opinion. And so that's what I mean about being AI ready. And so sure, you can use AI, but are you really using AI? And that requires you to really step back and question, I just did A, B, and C. Could AI or an automation have done that? And if the answer is yes, you got to stop and take some time to make it happen. And that stopping and making it happen is the challenge when you got to run a business.
And you have touched on something that's super important to me because I think a lot of us are coming to this with corporate or industry history, right? Yourself included. You come with this already set idea of the way things get done. And there are habits that we have. I call it that corporate residue. It's still sitting on us, right? We're
Yeah.
still performing our roles in that same way. And so, one of your really great takeaways, because I've been following you on LinkedIn and I've been reading some of your posts, it's like you said that your domain specificity is your moat, right? And
Mhm.
that's such a unique way to look at that. So, I feel like it's this double edged sword, right? I have my experience, I have my domain, I have my area. But with that comes all this corporate residue that I'm having a really hard time getting rid of. So, how do founders turn their niche, their knowledge, their experience into AI powered value?
Yeah. I think it's very important that as leaders move forward, that they are either taking their existing team and insisting that the team spend time use AI and demonstrate how they're using AI. And if they are hiring new people in, I think AI has been around long enough. And I'm using AI when I'm saying AI in our conversation, it means generative versus the other predictive and other types of AIs that have been around for a while that have been a lot not as accessible for the average person, but it's got to come, I feel, from top down to really succeed. Because what's happening is we're hearing of a lot of cases where people are using it. The executives are worried about it, obviously, for things like data security. And so it's being used in secret. And then you have all sorts of initiatives happening and people using it, and there's not a cohesive path forward. And it really has to be a top down initiative. And whether it's reskilling internal employees, or if you're doing any hiring, making sure they demonstrated that they're able to use it. I've had a number of webinars speaking with leaders about this topic, which is what are the skill sets we want to be looking for in new employees, and growth mindset and the ability to tinker and learn and be a student has never been more important. So that's what we advise other leaders is when you're hiring, make sure it's not that same old bullet point list. Like at the top of the list should be the ability to demonstrate curiosity and experimentation. And then obviously I'm biased because I started with Omni thinking, don't, it's too much. It's like drinking from a fire hose. So you have a business to run. So there are those of us who are specializing in AI's impact in our area. Hire us. It's not a blatant pitch. I'm just being very logical in that there are people immersing themselves that can help you go faster. So go seek them out instead of trying to learn it all from scratch internally.
Yeah,
That to me doesn't make sense.
of course, of course. And can you walk us through a particular use case that you're comfortable sharing where Wit Omni helped a client implement, not just to automate per se, but maybe evolve their marketing system?
Yeah, and so I have to say what I'm finding right now is this kind of same wall that we're talking about is they hire me because they're very interested and very on board with AI. But once I get to the other side, what's really happening is that I partner with the executives. And because I've been one, I can speak their language. And they then say, here's what I need, go do it. But then my world is AI. And so it's not so much that I'm working with them to change their processes to the level that I would love to. But I am in a way. For example, there was one company where we needed sales training, BDR playbooks, and scripts, and all of those kinds of things. And I used AI to very quickly generate all of those things, including processes and reporting. So some of was AI, some of it was best practices that I brought to the table, but it was still me managing it. And so that's where I feel like the hurdle still is that the culture has to start embracing AI in their internal processes. I'm working with companies where they're building products with AI in it, but the internal processes are still traditional. So it's going to take some time, I think, for those shifts to happen.
Do you think there's a common misconception that they're holding on to where they think they're already using AI, but there's something missing? What is that misconception, you think?
I think the issue is the reality of the pace and demand of business. And so if you are running a business, and I'll point fingers at myself first and foremost, there's so much happening in the agentic world, right? There's a lot of development. It's still a little, some things work, some things don't, some things are expensive to build out, some things are time consuming. But it's again another world that you have to explore and understand. And so I'm working on using agents and automations to automate some of the work that I had done with a custom GPT. But I feel that I wish I could have done it even faster. I think that's the scary part is you're already going so fast and you always feel like it should be even faster. But I think when you're running a business, there's just the reality of running the business and you have to somehow say this is an initiative. It's a corporate initiative. Yes, we have to keep running business, but somehow we've got to find time and resources for this AI transformation and make it very deliberate. And that's the issue is that it's becoming something that's, yeah, whatever, let's just use AI instead of a kind of almost like an OKR level initiative.
Because it takes time to learn. You have to slow down for a second to do it, and which
Mhm.
means nobody wants to slow down. They wanna keep going. And it's interesting because I think there's like this it's almost like AI development is running in parallel, right? Because you've talked recently about OpenAI's leaked plans for that physical super assistant, right? The AI that will run your life. And that's exciting, but just like these businesses, it's, oh my God, how do we even remotely slow down to absorb that? So, how do entrepreneurs prepare for that future without getting lost in all of this hype and overwhelm?
Yeah, there are companies that are doing a great job of this. Gamma, I feel Gamma.app is a poster child. We had their head of marketing on a webinar some weeks ago to talk about what they did. And basically they hit 50 million users in with less fewer than 28 people. That's insane. 50 million users. And they've got this really innovative AI platform that's basically think of Canva and PowerPoint mixed together and a website builder, but you use AI. And so you tell AI what you need and it spits out a PowerPoint, spits out a website. And it's really quite phenomenal what they've been able to achieve. 28 people. And the reason they were able to do it is their CEO was really committed to AI first. And so he's challenged his whole team. Show me what you're doing with AI before you go higher. Figure it out with AI before you go higher. And so that's why I said earlier, it's got to come from top down. That's rabid mentality that you're holding your employees accountable to it. And that's the way it'll happen and it will happen. But if the top leadership is checked out, I feel like it would be difficult.
Yeah, yeah, it's a team effort, and that's where that idea of implementation, it's not just a checklist. We're not assigning something. It's that implementation that takes that level of commitment from all areas of the department. I get
Right.
that. So, what are some of the best ways that either a solopreneur or a small business owner can really start experimenting with automation today to help build towards this kind of seamless system?
Yeah, and again, I think you want to make this a deliverable for your employees as it makes sense in their given function. So I'm spending some time with make.com. There's N8N is another one that's really popular, but that one is a little bit more technical. There's Zapiers. Zaps have been around for some time for automation. So those tools are out there and they do some phenomenal things. Basically, you can list out you have to take the time to be like, here is step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I do. Here are the applications that I use in them. And then you could use one of those tools to create a full automation. And they've got templates. And so what needs to happen is if you're in customer success, for example, part of your deliverable for the quarter needs to be showcase how you implemented one of these automation platforms to optimize and then put numbers behind it. How much time did you save? Because that's the key, right? If you don't show how much time and money you save, it feels like you're losing time and money. When in reality, my God, the level of time and money you can save by implementing these solutions is mind blowing. And so it's almost like you got to stop and say, yeah, I'm going to pause to shift, but the savings I'm going to get from point A to point B so much quicker because I took the time to shift. And that's the mindset that has to prevail.
Yeah. And I think even for really small business or for a solopreneur, half of that battle is getting what you do out of your own head because those SOPs are something that you maybe never had to say out loud or you never had to document. And so just getting that, I think sometimes is part of the battle. Have you experienced that or are you working with larger institutions where that's already
Yeah.
spelled out?
No, that's exactly an issue because some of these things are never going to be documented because they're just the way you do a function, right? It's just like you learn it, or maybe there's a training manual. I think if you're a larger organization, the training manuals are key because that's your blueprint to feed in. And what you got to do is basically feed it into AI and say, hey, give me an automation, tell me the tool, give me the framework, create an interface if you want, and AI can do all of that for you. So it won't take you as long. It's just you've got to shift your focus and spend time on it. But that's like the most amazing thing about this is that you don't, it's not like learning a new tool where you're just like, okay, I've got this software and I've got a demo and figure it out. Yes, great, you got to do that. But you have this AI that will spell out all the steps that you got to take. And then there's faster paths. If you want to build it yourself, I recommend right now building yourself as much as you can to get to know these things because they're really super powerful. And when you get your hands dirty, you'll be able to reveal amazing things. So that's my advice. I don't care what level you are, get your hands dirty with this stuff. But you could always hire somebody from Upwork or whatever to build these automations as well down the line. But like I said, you should first understand what these tools do.
Do you think that there's a shift in mindset that has to be unlocked for people to take advantage of this?
Yeah, when they start getting clobbered by competition, they'll think, no, that's what's going to happen. There's a lot of AI native, AI first development happening. That's my world. So as these tools pop up, like Napkin.ai, that I feel are really revolutionizing and changing the way we do things. I love Fathom.videos, one of my favorites. For note AI note taking, it's just been a game changer. And so when there are companies that are utilizing these types of technologies through and they're winning, then these other companies are going to definitely take note. And I feel like that's what's going to happen. It's very difficult. It's a basic MBA 101. If you're a larger company, you're a larger ship. It takes more to turn that ship. And that's where the small boats can win. And that's exactly what we're seeing play out right now.
And I'm going to do a couple of lightning round questions with you. I want to start off with what's your favorite underrated AI tool right now?
I just mentioned Napkin, and that was one of the tools that when I first started on this endeavor, I found that tool and I reached out to the CEO. And that was at the same last name as me. His name's Pallavi Sharma. And I just reached out to him and I was like commenting because he was doing a bit of building in public. And we had a conversation. We had this wonderful conversation. He got on the phone with me and we just talked philosophically about the shift that was happening. And so that was such an amazing experience for me that these CEOs that are doing some revolutionary things are now building in public. So this is where the human comes in. Increasingly, you're probably seeing on LinkedIn CEOs that are posting, they're putting their own videos on there, they're returning the comments on their own. It's not like some assistant that's doing it. You can tell by the answers that it is them responding. And so that's where the human element is coming back in. And that's where the humans should be focused is interacting, in my opinion, with other humans and ideating. So I definitely recommend that as a tool to check out if you haven't. It's a visualization tool. So you put some text in and it will create these phenomenal visualizations.
Love it. Love it. What is a book or a thought leader that has completely shaped your AI lens?
This is a really interesting question. What I'm reading right now is Mastery by Robert Greene, and that's not an AI specific book. And the reason I bring it up is because as I embarked on this journey, and I mentioned I wanted to become a student of AI again, and I love Robert Greene's books, and Mastery talks about the importance of mastering something. And I really look to that for inspiration of other leaders in history and how they have really become those leaders by diving deep into whatever technology or whatever area that they were interested in. And that thing has really helped keep, parents say, don't lose focus, keep going deeper. Keep as deep as you are, you can keep going deeper. So I know that's not an AI book, but that's the one that's been my go-to. My learning of AI, honestly, I am using LinkedIn like I've never used it before. There are people on there that are posting constantly about AI, how they're using the tools, and then they call themselves creators. So I highly recommend people to just start looking for some of these people and following them and seeing what they can find.
I agree. There is a huge bubble in LinkedIn of AI users and AI thought leaders, I would say. Yes.
Yeah. And they're just sharing. It's just they're just sharing information left and right. And that's why I say it's there with the AI journey. Interestingly enough, it hasn't been any one person. It's been all these creators that are constantly sharing prompts and tech and how to do things. And yeah, it's incredible.
All right. Final question. I'm going to double question you with this one. What is one marketing habit that you think AI will completely replace? And what's one marketing habit you hope it never does?
As far as the marketing habits that it will replace, I have about 30 custom GPTs for every step of marketing. I don't think there's any step that it won't touch. It will touch all of them. But the place that I think it's going to take some time to replace is the human element, as I mentioned. I know there are tools like Hey Jen, there's 11 Labs. So there is this push towards basically you and I creating an avatar. And the avatar is having a podcast the way they do a Notebook LM. And if your listeners haven't checked out Notebook LM by Google, another mind-blowing tool, super underrated in my opinion, but there is a feature in there where there's two podcasters that have a conversation about a topic, and you can insert yourself into the podcast and talk. Is that amazing?
Yes, I geek out with that so frequently. Love it. Yeah.
So yeah, so what I'm noticing is if you spend time on Instagram, there's some amazing creativity that obviously is not AI generated. And there's people showing the reality of what it means to be human. And that is not going to be replaced. And what I'm feeling is that AI has got to enable us to be more human again. It's like we're women. We have children. We go through menopause. We go through all sorts of life changes. And we've been brainwashed to thinking we have to work in a system that was designed for married men who have a wife at home to take care of everything. And that's not gonna work for us. So I think increasingly I'd like to see a more humanization of the corporate workplace as robots take over.
I love it. I love it. And so what's next for you? What's next for Wit Omni? How do you hope your work is going to continue to shape the future of AI in marketing?
Yeah, I'm so thrilled with what I'm able to do with Omni because I'm able to do like the work part with my clients. But as part of it, as I mentioned, I've launched Your AI CMO. And so I'm able to talk to these amazing leaders. I have a webinar series going. So again, we dive deep into certain topics with them. I'm actually working on an AI transformation book with a leader. She was a chief AI officer at a very large publicly traded company. So I'm very excited to be working on that book and bring it out. And then I'm also working on a creative writing book that was actually started by my daughter. She started this book as a project in sixth grade. She wrote 150 pages. And I'm actually using AI to edit it, and we're building all the book, but it's this amazing project and it's super creative and it touches on a lot of the themes we just talked about. It's like, where's the role of the human? What's going to happen in terms of the ethics of some of the things that we're seeing of the oligarchy and the tech bros taking over? And what could the future look like if we let that happen? So there's some really it's an amazing time. I was starting to get bored. I don't know about you. I was really starting to get bored. I'm like, I'm over it. I'm done it. I'm so over it. And now I'm like, oh my God, what a time to be alive.
It is an absolute revolution. We are so lucky to learn from you while we're going through it too. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure. I'm so glad we connected. We failed to mention She is AI. So I wanted to put that in there because that's the reason we connected. So that's an amazing initiative. Your listeners should check it out. It's another organization that's really committed to enabling women to showcase their great talent.
And that's what I wanna leave us with. I wanna give you an opportunity to tell us, where can we connect with you? What communities should we be checking out? So we just mentioned She Is AI. Where can we connect with you?
Yeah, I would say the best thing to do with me is follow me on LinkedIn. I'm posting pretty regularly. Would love to hear your thoughts. I encourage people to comment on LinkedIn. Not everybody's comfortable, especially if you have that corporate mindset and you don't use it that much. But there's some vibrant conversations. So I really encourage you to get to know people through the communities that are interacting with me because they will lead you to some really interesting community such as Women in AI. They were Women in AI, now they're Women X AI. That's a vibrant community around women who are really interested in AI and building with it. So that would be the number one place. Check out witomni.com. That's my business site. And if you're growing a business, happy to have a conversation with you. Those would be the two key places right now. And then check out Your AI CMO podcast on all platforms.
I love it. All right. We are going to connect and send people that way. Thank you again for sharing your time with us.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you for tuning in to Empowered by AI. If today's episode sparked ideas, don't wait. Follow the link in the show notes to visit innovativeaistudio.com and download your free resource, created to help you put today's insights into practice. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes packed with more tips, tools, and inspiring stories. Until next time, stay empowered and keep innovating.